be told and your voices be heard. May you shine like the moon, fly like a bird on wings of liberation. We will rise when we listen to the heart and the ways of the wise. On the flames of transformation, we will rise from out of the shadows and into the light. Into the light. Into the light.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to UNIFY Women Rising right here on the UNIFY Facebook page. If you haven't liked and shared, please do so. And also, welcome all of those who are watching on Spirituality Gone Wild and all of the other networks that we are on. We are going to have a glorious, absolutely fun-filled hour today. So please type into the chat where you're tuning in from. And remember, who are you grateful for? Type that in too. And I'm going to pass this over to Miranda, our beautiful life Clendening, and she's going to take us away into the world of R&R.
I also have a puppy. This is Puggy Jr.
Hi, Puggy Jr.
Good morning, everyone. We're here today to talk more about Regeneration Renaissance, the regenerative movement that is sweeping across our planet with the awakening of people, helping heal our planet, heal ourselves, heal each other, heal our whole world. And we have beautiful guests today, Teresa Collins, who has been an inspiration to me literally since I was a teenager. History working with Barbara Marx Hubbard and the Resonance Science Foundation. Say that again, Rachel.
And Teresa was very young during that time as well.
Yes, and
also a teenager during that time.
I think we have Ferananda Ibarra also coming in as well, who is a regenerative badass woman as well. And Sheri couldn't make it today because she's feeling sick, but we love you, Sheri, and we'll see you in the future. She's been on here in the past. But I'll let you just I'm here in Crestone, Colorado, and I'll let you say hi, Teresa, and where are you from?
Yeah, so nice to be on this session with all of you. What a fun way to spend a Saturday morning. And that opening video is so beautiful. Like I can really feel what you're generating here. So thanks for inviting me. I'm here from Santa Cruz Mountains. I live in the Redwood Forest just above Santa Cruz. Super beautiful place to be. Yeah, and I'm excited to explore this this conversation around what regeneration actually is and where do we each find ourselves interacting with it, because there's so many layers to where we can put our attention. So yeah, nice to be here.
And we have Rachel and Amber. Where are you? Welcome back. We're here. We've been gone for a few weeks. We took a little tiny hiatus and we're back and we are live. This is not a replay. Let's just say good morning to Rachel and then to Amber.
Hey everyone, what's up? It's Rachel Morrison tuning in from Loveland, Colorado at Sunrise Ranch in the Attunement Sanctuary. And I have loved our summer break and I'm so happy to be back here.
And I am Amber Hartnell, coming in from La Costa, perched above Encinitas, California, overlooking the ocean and a beautiful valley here. And I too am delighted to be returning with you beautiful ladies to continue the conscious view. I like seeing that. Wonderful to be engaged in these conversations with you. And really delighted to be with Teresa, who's a dear, beloved sister, family member of mine.
Well, I love this. And hello, everybody. And I am just grateful to be here. I'm Debbie G, coming in from Huntington Beach, California, and loving it thoroughly. It is an exciting day today as we step into how that we can be more productive citizens in this world, how that we can baby Mother Gaia. How can we make a change right in our life where we sit in our home? But I'm going to let Teresa, I'm going to have you go ahead and take it away.
That sounds like fun. Just go for it. Well, first, I just want to say it's Maureen's birthday. So happy birthday. What a nice way to start your birthday out, Maureen Edwardson. So happy birthday to you and welcome to everybody. You know, for me, right now, I'm the co-founder of the Global Coherence Pulse, for any of you who don't know kind of what I'm up to on the planet right now, and also the co-founder of the Islands of Coherence network. And I, for the last 25 years, have been putting my love and energy into organizations and initiatives that are aligned with the idea of our conscious evolution. So, you know, back to Miranda said, you know, back with Barbara Marx Hubbard and all the way through things like the Gene Keys with Richard Rudd and ways for us to, you know, work through our awakening process, or Resonance Science Foundation with Nassim Haramein and understanding a new worldview. And staying in the current of that, I felt from all of my years that the most essential thing that I could be doing on the planet right now is cultivating greater coherence in the heart of my life and through me into the world. Like, I really believe the quote that small islands of coherence in a sea of chaos have the capacity to lift the entire system to a higher order. I felt that in my cells the moment I heard it 20 years ago. And so I knew that the quality of my presence, the frequency of my resonance, what am I resonating with? What am I aligning with? What am I adding my energy into? And the quality of my ability to respond to what's emerging when I am present and when I am in resonance with Mother Earth and with life and with everything around me. So, how attuned am I to the unique note that I came here to sound? And how courageous can I be in saying yes as that emergence comes? Because whatever's emerging, whatever's coming, it's radically different than where we've been. And so it requires this leap. It requires this internal leap into a partnership with life, into a surrender into the fabric of life that each of us is part of. And so when I think about a regenerative renaissance, and what does that mean? The first place I go is inside. And I was on a call with Alexi Voss, who's on my team. He's part of the Pulse, and he's also the guy who does our website, and he's also a tango dancer. And he is right now in the war zone. So I'm paying a lot of attention to how Alexi is showing up in the face of what he's facing, from this perspective that he holds, that we're all unified, we're all one, and there's something beautiful coming. So if you can do that in the face of war, then there's some clues there. And he came on a call after going and seeing some of the bombing. Like, he was courageous enough to go see so that he could actually be in the face of it. He said that this practice that he's been doing lately is just simply to breathe. So maybe we can just all do that for a minute. Like letting out a sigh and just breathing deeply. And notice the feeling that your body has when you just take time to breathe deeply. You know, he was saying, like, your body starts to relax. kind of move out of your head, maybe down into your feet and into your intuition and into your heart more. And if you just notice the feeling that you have just simply by breathing, he started to give that his attention more and more, like, oh, I feel more trusting. I feel more present. I feel more relaxed. And he noticed that the more he just felt the feelings that he naturally feels when he's breathing and give those his attention, that his life started to unfold with those feelings, alive all the time. And so sometimes when we have these conversations about like regenerative resonance, right? It's like, where does it start? Because if it starts right here where I know just my in-breath and my out-breath expressed consciously, and allow for what naturally arises when I actually do that in this present moment with my heart open. That what's emerging for me can come, and it's going to come in feeling. It's going to come in this sensation. It's going to come in a vibrancy. And from that place of the breathing, the emergency that seems to be sounding all around turns into the tone of my emergence. And I don't have to push away from it. I can actually enter it and use it as the fuel to express my song loud and proud and to encourage others to just let the truth of who you are shine out without apology, without any kind of distortion because you want to be seen in a particular way. All of that, there is no time for it. What there's time for is what is rising from inside you that is your contribution to the regeneration of yourself, of the life around you, and of the world that we live in, and really the cosmos, because the cosmos is in an evolutionary leap. We're just one little part. So in some ways, it doesn't matter what we do or do not do. But the ride that we're going to have in this shift that's occurring at all scales is completely related to the quality of our presence, to our ability to trust what's rising from within us and to go on that ride. That's the ride we want to be on. And when we're on that ride, we will see the regeneration of life unfold before our eyes as a result of the quality of our presence. So that's what I would say to start. I don't know. That was a bit of a ramble.
Yeah, Teresa. So beautiful. I hear Barbara Marx Hubbard from the heavens smiling down on us in her sweet little voice saying, "Oh, the crisis is a birth. It's so exciting." Talking about just the perspective of, birth being so beautiful, but the crisis and chaos on the planet also bringing so much opportunity for growth and conflict and dynamic tensions, and people looking at truth of what's actually going on and what we want brings so much beautiful birthing of the new world. And so she would get so excited to talk about how our crisis is a birth and how we're humanity in labor and how it's women's most strong time to shine and to be in the fire, in the labor pains, but in so much joy that the baby or the new world is coming. And Teresa, I love when you hopped on this morning before we even went live. And we're talking about how the women in your life are so full of so much joy, and that it's different than a lot of the rest of the world, just because so many of the women that we work with are holding such faith and able to just radiate such joy because of that faith. And that's part of what this show is about, is helping people to borrow our faith and many other women that have been through on this show, and helping us to wake up to a beautiful Saturday morning and even be a cartoon of inspiration as we look into the future, which for some people may be sad or looking bleak right now, or hard to view when you're just watching the news or watching our governments do things we're appalled at, basically, and just not knowing what's going on in some of the world, and a way of understanding how that's leading towards a shift. But that's what Regeneration Renaissance is about for us as well, is to, with UNIFY, we have such a huge network and so many spiritual leaders and world leaders that are coming to speak all the time. And we actually never tell them ahead of time what to say. It's all an emergent download and process of what they want to bring, because that's the beauty of it, is that so many people are telling and seeing the same story from their congregations of people in Europe, or entire groups of people in India or Africa or South America, Japan, all over the United States, but coming in and talking about this beautiful uprising or taking back of our world, and what it looks like in harmony and oneness with each other, and people that are all in for all life and caring about what that means.
Mm-hmm.
I want to jump in really quick because Ferananda is here, and I'm going to bring her up. So, well, I'll bring her up momentarily. Looks like she's still attempting to join. She'll be up in just 1 second, everybody. I do believe I saw Amber biting at the bit.
Oh, go for it, Amber.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear what you just said. You were calling upon me. There was something actually in what you were sharing, Teresa. There's so much that just obviously resonates so deeply. We're riding on the same wave of transmission, but the analogy of relating this time to birth, and Miranda, as you mentioned, that Barbara Marx Hubbard was such a vocal proponent of seeing it as this, right? And just like a mother in birth, she has to refuse to allow herself to be distracted by what's happening, all of the conditions around, right? And to come into that absolute focus in the present moment in order to bring the life through. And then I noticed that Maureen, whose birthday it is today, commented that some births are ecstatic and orgasmic. And I know from experience that this only happens when you are unerring in that focus, to be absolutely present, responsive to the moment, connected to the breath, to the life force that's moving through us, to own and claim that energy as our creative power. So just to highlight that aspect, that I feel that is one of the most important places that we could possibly be cultivating in this time, to be able to support that reorganization into higher order. That just is what's happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say one thing. I was with Amber when she gave birth to her son and had an orgasmic birth. So I was a witness to that focus of love and attention. And
Mm-hmm.
I think what you brought up too, Miranda, there's a worldview change that's required in order to hold this faith and this trust and this feeling. And I love the analogy of the imaginal cells in the process of metamorphosis, because if we spend our time focused on the soup we're swimming in that we don't relate to, if that's where our attention is, then we're distracted. But if we're an imaginal cell, if we know that the world out there is not aligned with what we know to be true, that there's something about that isn't me anymore, then you've got to place your attention on what you're becoming, on that imaginal cell. And when you do, that's when you start to connect with other people that are part of the imaginal cells. That's when we begin to be drawn together into new opportunities in new ways. So we need to know who we are and then give that 100% of our attention. And if we know who we are is a note or a cell in the body of a unified awareness, then that's when we can start to experience regeneration. So we need to notice, sometimes I slip into the other worldview. I have to be aware, did I just create separation by being resistant to something or moving my attention outside of myself, and then come back and not beat myself up, because that's a distraction. Yeah.
Wow, you guys. I'm over here with like so much energy coming in and through and just feeling it. And gosh, Teresa, you reminded me of so much in what you shared this morning about the islands of coherence in a sea of chaos. And if you're on this show right now, you're tuning into something that is being the inner impulse into what's possible. And just as we bob in and out, right, as Teresa just said, sometimes we get glimpses and sometimes we're in. But when we have the ability, as Amber said, to just really bring that present focus in and allow ourselves, and I would say not necessarily just the imaginal selves, but the gift of what happens when we have that level of coherence, that commitment to resonance, and that devotion. I feel like it's not just imaginal, but like seeded information that we're being given by a mysterious source that we then have the ability to engineer and let ourselves be guided into the influx of that shared reality together. And from that place, and our ability, as been said before, to stay attuned to the aperture of letting that happen through that inner space that we all know is private, then we can have that level of insight and trustworthy integrity with the source of where the information's coming from, to where our actions are not timid. They are unabashed. They are bold. They are dubious. And in some way happen with that level of grace and with that level of joy and ease that brings things in only the way that it can when we're creating this new opportunity for life to exist.
Yes.
And the wild creativity and genius that springs from that is exactly what's needed, because it's never been done before and is only yours to bring through that unique perspective, and how unique it is when that puzzle piece fits into the new experience that we're all having together as that unified field. So, yeah.
That was stunning, ladies. Absolutely stunning. So I was off for a minute talking to the beautiful Ferananda, and unfortunately she's having internet issues. She expressed her deep regret that she cannot join us, but she will be joining us sometime here coming up in August, which will be super awesome. So it's beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, we miss you, Ferananda. If you are able to listen to us, she's in Mexico or Costa Rica or something, and just got there and didn't realize she would have such bad Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll have you in the future.
So I love that, Rachel. I love what everybody is sharing, but what I just caught was the word grace. And grace is something that I think with everything that's going on in the world, if we could exercise and practice that a little bit more, that what is grace? Grace to me, and I would love to know what all of you, what your definition of grace is. For me, grace is the fragrance of life. Grace is the fragrance of a rose, the fragrance of a newborn baby, the fragrance of love is grace. Now that may not be the actual definition of grace, but that's what it feels within my soul. And along with grace comes a deep appreciation for breath. Just like Teresa started us with, to remember the breath. So that's what grace means to me. And audience, I would love for you to tell us what grace means to you. And then ladies, who would like to share what grace means to them?
Well, yesterday I had a really amazing experience with, I guess, what I would call grace. I feel like grace is one of those things that as you continue to have faith and live a life of faith, even when things look like they're going to be crazy and you can't always understand why there's so many shifts or why things aren't happening maybe the way you want them to. Grace is when you get shown that there's a bigger universe picture and that having faith that things are in order even when they don't seem to be in order is kind of how I look at grace in our lives. And I work with many different projects for anyone that knows me. And one of our projects has a funder who is supposed to be carrying us forward with the next 3 months of funding. And the banks and dealing with crypto and international funds and all kinds of stuff are being more difficult than usual and doing a lot more investigation on funds coming into American banks and all kinds of stuff. So the last few weeks, he has said, I'm trying, but they literally are telling me they don't have the staff and that things are held up and that it could be another 3 to 4 weeks. So we're having to tell some of our project people that they literally might have to find other contract work for the next 3 or 4 weeks until this can come in or until we can find someone else. And when I had my first phone call to one of my favorite employees to let her know that we're all in this situation, the second I was about to tell her, the funder literally called my personal cell phone, which he's never done before. And he just said, good news, get the whole team together. We have a meeting. The money transferred. It's here. We're good to go. It's Friday. We got everybody covered for the next 3 months. And it was amazing. Like the timing was like exactly as I was about to say the sentence to her, he called me. And I was like, that is grace, like taking you to the very last minute. Like even my conversations were going to say, we'll find a way to make it through this and continue this project and keep going. I don't know how exactly, but we're going to do everything we can to do this. And it's just beautiful, very in a place of very much gratitude and grateful for grace in our lives.
Was there an element of that where you were just kind of letting go of what you think it needed to look like?
Yeah, a
Everybody
lot of
does.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
mean, a
I've
lot
been too.
over the last few weeks, tons of roller coaster of
Yeah.
fear and sadness and anxiety and frustration and like trying to just, trying to be in a place of faith is not easy. It's actual work. And, doing practices like waking up each morning and being in meditation and just feeling that overall inner peace and love and connection and faith helps, but it doesn't, cure everything. This is material reality. So
It doesn't put the money in the bank, or does
yeah,
it?
maybe it is. I don't
Or
know.
does it? Or does it?
But
Apparently it
maybe the
might.
universe wants you to wait till the last second to see how strong you're going to be through this. I don't know.
I don't know. I love that
Yeah.
though, because yesterday was like the day to same deal. There's some stuff and it's like, I just I put my hands up and say, okay, it'll be what it's going to
Yeah.
be, what it's going to be, regarding some property. And it's like, and everything just continues to flow, grace, that favor, that fragrance. I still feel it. It's a fragrance to me. It's something that there's a sweetness to grace when it happens, but it actually happens all the time if we really pay attention. I really want to bring this up because this is just great. Clint, hey Clint, how you doing? To me, grace is a feeling of both mutual and self-respect and confidence, flowing through surprising conditions while holding your inner knowing that we're all in this together and we all have free will as we explore and learn together. That was beautiful, and thank you so much for taking the time to share your thoughts on that. So we'll go over to Teresa.
Yeah, I loved your story, Miranda. And I also love that, there was this turbulence all week for you, a little bit. And that's where it's like, so what do we do with that? Like there's a part of our mind that's like worried about what's going to happen. And there's that other part that just knows we're going to make whatever it is work. Like whatever's happening, we're going to respond in a way that's aligned with our intentions. So maybe when our mind does that little thing where it starts to pull us off thinking that something isn't going well, that we really focus on the intention that we want to have, which is whatever the truth is, we're going to respond in a generative way and we're going to get through this. That's just, I would say, because I'm all the time like, where is my mind going, and am I generating the future feeling that I want to have, and am I holding that through, or am I getting distracted? And on Grace, I was on a call, and it was a music enhanced integration call for our community on resonance, and Chloe Goodchild and Gary Malkin were there. And Gary was really in this place of embracing both this glory of what's emerging, but also the grief of what's falling away. And as we allowed ourselves to actually hold both, to actually like embrace, so we can hospice what's falling away, we can midwife what's being born, but that place where we let it all be, that we don't push it away, because there's so much grief, there's so much loss, there's so much dying away. And that place that can hold both of those with an open heart is grace.
Wow.
I love that you brought the hospice in. And it reminds me of a story of my dear friend Miranda. She, for those who don't know, she's also a hospice and a midwife nurse. And so she's had both sides of the spectrum. And we used to live together at this eco village. And we would be working on projects, and then all of a sudden she'd like have to leave to go do the hospice nurse nighttime thing. And it would just like rip me to shreds. I'm like, what do you mean? You're gonna do what? And she's like, talk about grace, like such an embodied presence about it. And I'll say that it boils down to, for me, what I've witnessed in that experience and what I continue to witness in many experiences is the spirit of trust. This deep, inherent spirit that all is well, all is happening in accordance to the divine design, or into the way that the universe is structuring itself, or reorganizing or reconstellating. And there is an inherent benevolence in all things, in all ways. And taking that and applying it to any of the circumstances that are happening in the world, there's two pieces. One is fully having the courage to see with eyes wide open about all that is happening, and not necessarily like blindly trusting, but deeply rooted trusting with eyes wide open that there is a dishevelment, there is a receding, there is an emerging of what is, and all that which is needing to be, I don't want to use the word composted, but wanting to be released back into a place of wholeness and home, will find its way. That's why there are so many holes right now, so we can find the holy path into with the thing that's being created that we're all tapping into. And when we have the ability to move at the speed of trust with each other, regardless of the institution, whether it's a government or an organization that's like notoriously known for GMOs or any sort of like disturbance, but really going in with an open heart and open mind and a willingness to see what's possible. Because I think we all live on the same earth. And that's kind of like a silver thread that could possibly connect us all, and wanting to like live on it for a while, and using that to be an aperture for a meaningful conversation to see what can be an authentically contributed effort into that might be a segue into how we can have a bipartisan, transnational, whatever conversation that needs to happen, so that some momentum across borders, across ideals, can go and tap into not just our moral, but also intellectual, like commitment to kinship and service, to serve and protect that which is most sacred to all of us, which is thriving communities, let's hope, and natural resources in abundance, so that we can have what many would say impossible, but I see it as radically possible and like unbelievably simple when we choose to connect on the things that make sense for us to connect on.
Yeah, I think everybody should be helping babies come into the world and in hospice in some way, shape, or form. And there is a lot of actually opportunity for volunteering. You don't have to have professional experience, and you can volunteer, and it is life-changing. My mom would take me to see hospice patients when I was like 11, 12 years old. And that is part of what got me into holistic nursing and working in that field. I work more with helping run global nonprofits now, but still every once in a while I live in a really little town, and I'll show up if somebody does need nursing help. But yeah, in taking care of so many, I was raised with a lot of faith in life after this life, which has been unshakable for me, that kind of faith more than any other kind. And people would say to me when I would take care of them on hospice, their families and patients, how do you always have this energy about you when you come, and it's not that you're like overly happy or something. And I'd let them just think about it for a minute, and they would come to like, you have this faith or this joy even in the presence of something really sad with a person dying. And so it would give me the opportunity to share that I deeply believe that we're all going to see each other again, and that we're all together for eternity, and that we're all going to a place that's really beautiful. And so it's hard for me to be totally sad when someone's dying, even though I know there will be some short separation from seeing each other in physical space here on this planet. And it would deepen our bond even more to just carry that. And they would, each time I would come after that, they would say, tell it to me again. I'm still not sure I believe, but just say it again, because your faith in that is so strong. It gives me so much hope. And the difference between a person dying that has faith in the afterlife versus someone that is very scared. Literally, they die with a panic-stricken look on their face with their eyes open, scared to death. If someone is dying without faith. But hospice is so special because so many people take that leap of faith and say, I might not have believed my whole life, but right now, what is it going to hurt to believe? And I'm going to walk over that line into faith and believe that we're going to this amazing place and that we are going to be together. And I watched them, make that shift into faith. And so right now, I'm writing a book right now I don't know. I think I'm going to call it the hospicing of humanity, but with some cute little tagline that lets people know it's a really hopeful and inspirational book, and that we're not actually hospicing everyone. But it's the same mentality. You go through the stages of grief as humanity is looking at and being a bit terrified right now of what happens if we went into World War III? What happens if we ruin our climate and destroy our planet? And then they wake up into getting past that, the denial stages and the total, not even being willing to look at it, but they going through grief and actually processing it and having all those tears, and then getting into acceptance and figuring out, well, where do I go from here? Am I going to step into faith and be a part of a solution, or be a part of just even being happy, even if part of me thinks our world is going to be totally destroyed, I can still be either enjoying the rest of it or being scared and living like that. So, and then seeing humanity, seeing the people that make that transition and say, I'm going to be happy and joyful and faithful, no matter what, even if I don't know what's happening to our planet, even if I don't know if humanity can take steps forward and be wise enough to not have World War III or destroy our climate and all of this. And that those steps into faith are so beautiful, so regenerative, life transforming, from being in a world of being scared of dying, or just so scared that you're apathetic and closed off and you're paralyzed. You can't even move if you're in a fear. And a lot of people don't even realize that. So taking the journey into faith, no matter what's happening to this planet, but also having the chance to join the people that are so awake, so beautifully doing what's right for this planet, and so faithful that we're not going towards World War III. We're not actually destroying our entire planet. We're actually creating something beautiful that's just beginning to emerge.
So many beautiful shares here. I love experiencing each person's lens in on what grace means. So many ways we can experience that. And to me, it really is an experience, right? And fundamentally, the experience of opening and allowing the life stream, the source current that's always flowing, to flow all the way through us, to animate us, to vitalize our expression, to break down and dissolve the hardened structures that we create when we grip and attempt to control life. And so surrender is obviously inherent within grace, the surrender to something much bigger than us, that has the overview in every moment, always attempting to guide us onto that path of greatest fulfillment and least resistance, where we can fully show up moment by moment and offer what we are here to offer as a vessel of grace, blessing this world.
That was beautiful. And I am appreciating each and every one of your shares. I want to bring up one of our audience, Anna, says, I like that expression of grace. It's fragrance of a rose floating in the softness, even in the midst of heart-wrenching experiences, a lightness, the heart cradling us ever so softly. And I'm really loving the overall theme that has been merging as we've been talking, and it's one of acceptance and trust, as Rachel said. Rachel actually said, and somebody typed this out, moving at the speed of trust. But it's elegant. And Miranda, talking about death, I mean, we're all going to die. That is just a fact. And if we're waiting, if we're ultra worried about that moment, we kind of forgetting to live, is what I was taking from what you were saying. If we're so afraid of the thing that's inevitable, we forget to do what's most important, and that's to be right here and to live. So to take a shift, I would like to know, what is it that we can do for somebody else to be of service, to just get out of our own way? Because that's how I get out of my own way. How can I be of service to somebody else with no agenda, no intent, the intention is to just be of service. For me, showing up for other people is the way that I can authentically, with an authentic voice, is the way that I can show up for humanity. But what are the ways that you guys like to, what's your favorite ways to show up? For somebody that is in service, how do you reach out to them? What action steps are you taking so that people are feeling safe because your presence is there? Sometimes it's just an energy, which most of the time I think that's all it is. But
I feel like I'd love to, I'll answer that, but I'd love to just make a comment to close out that last segment, just because it still seems to be on my tongue. So I'm going to trust that. Miranda, I too have been at births and deaths. I think many of us have. And there's something about this moment when the person leaves and someone arrives, and it's exactly the same energy. I think that's also grace. I think that it's, it's just right there. It's the same both times. And I think this is really important around whether we're afraid to die or not, because I think a lot of the challenges that have come around COVID or vaccine or not, or this or that, or all of the different things that people are facing that have split our families and split our communities and split us up, all came down to one thing. I'm afraid I'm going to get that and die, right? So if I'm afraid to die, then I will put my fear of death in between me and my family, between me and the things that I care about, right? So what you're talking about is essential, that we actually need to be alive and living, knowing that we are going to die one day. We just are. And if we put our fear of dying in front of our zest for living, then we are really going to have a very simple, very myopic life compared to what's possible. So I think what you're talking about is important. And I think the hospicing and the midwifing are happening at the same time. So I hope that you include some of your insights as you're writing your book to round that out, because it's actually happening as we hospice what's falling away. We're midwifing what's emerging. And the two ways that we show up to do that are fueled with love and grace. They're just fuel, and with this. And so to answer you, Debbie, if I'm in a situation where somebody needs something, they're just not in that moment. My presence, my feeling the bottom of my feet, my dropping deeper into my body, me lengthening my breath, and me bringing a smile to my face, me bringing care or compassion or empathy or whatever, so that that's the energy that I'm feeling, and not creating resistance or rejecting what's happening in front of me, because that's the moment I'm fueling it to continue, and instead radiating my relaxed state of love. Yeah, that's what I would say.
I think you're contagious. That's what I think. I think you're beautifully contagious. And I love that. And I love that. Oh God, I was having a conversation last night, and the conversation was about children, and I said, gosh, if we can just remind them of their light, of their essence, you know, children. It's the simplest thing. And actually they're over there, children remind me of my true essence, to be goofy and to be silly and to be funny and just to be. So I love that. Just show up and smile. And I also know, if you purposely, let's just say you're not in a good mood, whatever's happened, and I know I face this all the time. Sometimes I'll just smile, just smile. Forced, I don't feel happy, but I'm putting a smile on my face. But when you do it and you just stand there, something happens in your brain, and all of a sudden it drops down. But to be able to show up for another person and help them to do that, that's the best. That is the best. And I love that. How you just get really present and just right there with them. That's beautiful. Rachel.
Sure. Okay, so I'm loving this conversation. It sparked some thoughts, and I'm going to go there. And I'm going to say it with the words in between words. So I'm asking you all to put your thinking caps on just a little bit, or at least your openness to like the in-betweens. So what we were talking about with birth and death, and this topic of Regeneration Renaissance, and the fact that we have not been on together in a few weeks. You guys, a lot's happened in the last few weeks, eh? All right, chills. And I want to bring this topic in to the body of Mother Gaia and this conversation of regenerative culture, and how sometimes we think we know what's best for this great mother of ours. And sometimes we might be of benefit and of service, right? But it comes down to that full presence thing that we've been talking about, not making it do something that we think it's already needing to do. But there's an allowing of our species, an adaptive quality of who we are as a cellular structure in the body of Gaia, and what it means to be of full benefit and partnership to that great being as a part of it, an extension of it, while allowing her to do what she needs to be done inside of her entire experience. For us to begin to think that we could understand all of the mechanisms of Gaia and what needs to happen, who's to say that sometimes these rising tides that we're experiencing aren't exactly what's needed to help alkaline the water, to dilute the toxins, and to grow new coral reef systems in dying island nations or overpopulated shorelines. So while it's important for us to do our best and be of benefit and of service, it's also important to allow the innate intelligence of nature and who Gaia is and what she deems is necessary for her thriving life to continue in the abundant ways she can, that can fully nourish the ecosystems.
You know, when we all got sheltered in for 2 months or something, right? The earth regenerated herself at a scale that was unprecedented, right? We just stopped going driving out and doing all of our things, right? So that's the trust. If in 2 months of us centering more inside of ourselves and not doing our activity on the planet, that she could regenerate herself that quickly at that scale. That's the trust we need to have, that she knows what she's doing. So come into resonance with the shift that's occurring with our mother, and we'll know what it is that we need to do in relationship to that. And one thing trees talk to me. They have been some of my greatest teachers, and they're really, really on it. And I was going to do this meditation for the Gene Keys and their new program. I can't remember the Dream Arc. So I was tuning into this tree, and I went down and put my roots into the ground, and it took my awareness into the mycelial network and said, underneath here, life knows how to compost, it knows how to regenerate, it knows how to decay, and it knows how to create new energy to create something new to happen. So it invited me to draw the intelligence, the vibrational intelligence of that into my gut. And I was having some stomach issues. And I brought that magnificent intelligence into the place where my body is doing the same thing to help generate me. I think those are the kind of partnerships that we can have is 1, trust she's got this, guys. 2 months. It was unprecedented. Look it up, right? We can trust that she's got this. And then 2, if we start to open our senses and tune in to how life is generating more life, then we can bring that awareness into the things that we're doing and how we respond. Yeah, that's what I would say to that. I love that.
This is so beautiful. And also the mycelial network, it exchanges the nutrients. So it'll draw nutrients to a tree that needs more, right? So it knows how to redistribute what's available so that the whole system thrives. And I love this conversation so much, whether it's a person that we're called to be with or the planet itself. It really does come down to what we're speaking about, which is getting out of our own way, releasing the illusion that we have any control over anything, and really restoring our capacity to align with that generative principle, to offer ourselves as a conduit in service to all of life so that we can be utilized moment by moment in every exchange, whether it is an individual, whether it is the planet, the environment around us, to be in service to that life-giving principle, to uplift everyone and everything we come into contact with, activating and empowering that natural restorative capacity that is inherent within all of life. And it's so simple. It's nothing complicated. It's so simple that it's so easy to miss.
Yep. This is exactly what the subject is all about. We only have 3 minutes left. One of the reasons that we're doing Regeneration Renaissance is that we'll be launching in the next couple months an entire series on that, and it will be men and women from the regenerative space. And we'll go for at least the next year talking about everything regenerative, but starting with our consciousness, ourselves, and how we care a little bit more all the time and become a little more conscious of how we are with loving our Mother Earth and loving ourselves and loving each other. And the definition of regeneration is creating thriving in abundance, not just being sustainable and not doing harm. We want to be that too. But this is also going the step beyond and giving a little more than we take, creating systems that create thriving in abundance, being thriving in abundance in our life and in our energy and what we give to other people and our relationships. So we will continue to address this and to bring tips and tools and beautiful people like Teresa. Thank you so much for being with us today. And Ferananda and Sheri will be with us in the future once they're feeling better and not traveling and having Wi-Fi. And I'm sure Teresa will be back, and all of us or many of us will be with Teresa and UNIFY and a bunch of the UNIFY people for the Global Coherence Pulse, actually talking about emergence and elevating humanity and a lot of these same beautiful subjects, but just even broader with her Global Coherence Pulse, a pulse on what is happening in the world with all its amazingness. Do you want to say anything more about that, Teresa, real fast, so people can join us for that?
You can go to globalcoherencepulse.org and you can sign up there, or there'll be posts on UNIFY. I know we'll be sharing it out this week. And I just thought maybe in this 1 minute, we could send some love and blessings to our friend Sheri and to Ferananda. Just, it's good when we're not feeling well. They're probably watching right now. We love you so much. And we really send you some good, loving energy so that you can join us again. Yeah. Thank you, ladies. What a fun way to start a Saturday.
Thank you all. Thank you, audience. Debbie, do you have anything more that you wanted to say? It looked like you wanted to say one more.
I love you guys. I love you. I am grateful for everybody that was here today, and join our Women Rising mailing list, please. And I just put globalcoherencepulse.org into the chat. If you haven't liked UNIFY's page, do so. And follow us and Spirituality Gone Wild, please. And if you want to talk to anybody that you ever watch on here, just feel free to reach out to us and we'll get right with you. But no, I am completely Donate.
Okay, we love you all. Have a happy Saturday.
Have a happy Saturday. Have a happy weekend. Have a happy
birthday,
weekend.
Maureen.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Maureen.
Let